It was a quiet afternoon at a Target in Austin, Texas. The kind of quiet that hums. The low murmur of carts rolling, scanners beeping, and the faint smell of buttered popcorn drifting from the snack counter. I was standing in line like anyone else. No assistants. No driver waiting outside. Just me, Nathan Cole, the man every magazine in this city had once called the self-made titan. Today, though, I wasn't wearing my usual armor. No tailored suit, no Rolex. Just jeans, a gray sweatshirt, and a shopping cart filled with the simplest things: cereal, bottled water, batteries, and a toy robot for my nephew's birthday. It felt good, ordinary, grounding, until it didn't. When the cashier scanned my last item, I slid my platinum card across the counter with the ease of habit. A beep, then another, then declined. The word blinked red on the screen like a siren. The air changed. I could feel it. The line behind me slowed, then stilled. Someone coughed. Another man chuckled under his breath. And from behind me, a voice muttered, "Guess money can't buy good credit." My throat tightened. I tried to stay calm, to act like it didn't matter, like I wasn't suddenly standing there exposed, stripped of the very thing people respected me for. Wealth, control, power. The cashier frowned. Sir, do you maybe have another card?" I didn't. And in that moment, for the first time in a long, long while, I felt small. The cashier tried again. Another beep. Another red flash. Declined. I felt the eyes, dozens of them, crawling on my back. My phone had no signal. The bank app wouldn't load. My heartbeat filled the silence between beeps. "Sir," the cashier said again, louder this time, "do you have any other form of payment?" Her tone had changed. It wasn't polite anymore. It was weary, like she'd already decided what kind of man I was. The woman behind me sighed audibly. "Some people act rich until the truth shows up," she said. Laughter followed, low and sharp. My jaw clenched. I could have shouted my net worth right there, told them who I was, the skyscrapers I'd built, the charity dinners I'd funded, the politicians who took my calls on the first ring. But pride like that doesn't save you in a grocery line. It only makes you look pathetic. I swallowed hard. I'll be right back," I said, my voice quieter than I intended. "My other card's in the car." But before I could move, the cashier said loudly, "Sir, if you can't pay, I'll have to void the transaction." The words hit like a slap. People turned. Some grinned. One guy even raised his phone, maybe recording. I froze, a billionaire cornered by a $20 total. And that's when I heard it, soft, trembling, but clear. "Mister, I can help." I turned around. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Tiny, with tangled brown hair and a sweatshirt that hung off her shoulders. She held a box of noodles and a loaf of bread. Her shoes were 2 sizes too big. She stepped closer and held out a few wrinkled dollar bills with both hands. "You can use mine," she said shyly. "I think it's enough for your cereal." For a second, I couldn't breathe. The cashier's mouth twisted into an awkward smile. "That's sweet, honey, but he probably needs a bit more than that." The people behind us laughed again, but the girl didn't flinch. She just looked up at me, eyes wide and serious. "My mom says we should help people when they're sad." I knelt down, suddenly aware of how small she was, and how heavy my own shame felt. "What's your name?" I asked. "Lily," she said. "My mom says kindness is money you never lose." Her words stopped me cold. I'd spent a lifetime trading in every other kind of currency, except that one. I looked down at her cart: bread, milk, macaroni, and a single chocolate bar. The cheap kind, the kind you buy as a gift when you can't afford much. "Is that for you?" I asked gently. She shook her head. "It's for my mom. She likes chocolate when she's tired." My throat burned. For the first time in years, I felt something real, something I couldn't buy my way out of. For a long second, I just stared at her, this little girl offering me everything she had. The irony cut deep. A man with skyscrapers in his name, being saved by a child with holes in her sleeves. I tried to smile. "That's very kind of you, Lily, but I can't take your money." She tilted her head. "Then can I just give you the cereal? I don't need it that much." The man behind us snorted. Oh, come on. You're really going to let a kid embarrass you more. The laughter came again, cruel, shallow, echoing in the open aisles. And yet, Lily stood there like none of it mattered. She wasn't scared. She wasn't ashamed. Just calm, like she knew something the rest of us didn't. My mom says, she whispered again, that if you only help people who can help you back, that's not kindness. That's business. And that was it, the sentence that broke me open inside. The cashier shifted awkwardly. Sir, maybe we should just void it and move on. I forced a nod. Yeah, okay. She started pressing buttons on a register, but my voice came out before I could stop it. Wait. Everyone froze. I'll figure it out. The cashier looked skeptical, but she nodded. I reached in my pocket, desperate, and found a single folded 20, an emergency bill I'd forgotten about. It wasn't much, but it covered the total. As the receipt printed, I turned back toward Lily. She smiled. Not like she'd done anything extraordinary, but like helping a stranger was the most natural thing in the world. I crouched down again. Thank you, I said quietly. You reminded me of something I'd forgotten a long time ago. She grinned. My mom says people forget nice things when they get too busy. Yeah, I whispered, my throat tight. They do. When her mother appeared a few minutes later, a tired-looking woman with kind eyes and worn hands, I felt something shift in me. They weren't just poor. They were surviving. Barely. And somehow still giving. I carried my bags out into the cold parking lot, but my feet didn't take me to my car. They took me after them. The woman and her daughter walking toward an old sedan that had seen better years. In the back seat, I noticed a pile of blankets, a few grocery bags, and a pillow. That's when I realized they weren't just shopping. They were living there. I stood there in the fading light of the parking lot, holding my grocery bags, staring at that old sedan like it was a mirror I'd spent my whole life avoiding. The mother turned when she noticed me walking toward them. She looked startled at first, clutching her purse. Sir, is something wrong? I raised a hand gently. No, ma'am. I think something just went right. Her shoulders eased, but her eyes stayed wary. I nodded toward the car. Need a hand with those? She hesitated, pride flickering across her face, then finally said, Sure. Thank you. We loaded the small pile of groceries into the trunk together. That's when I noticed the blankets again, the way they were folded neatly, almost like beds. A child's stuffed animal peeked out from one corner. I didn't ask, but she saw the realization in my eyes. Just until I find work, she said quickly. It's not permanent. I nodded. How long has it been? 2 months, she admitted softly, since the diner closed. They didn't need extra staff anymore. But we're okay. We got each other. From the back seat, Lily's voice piped up cheerfully. We're fine, mister. We make it cozy. Her mom smiled, tired, embarrassed, but full of love. That kind of love I hadn't seen in years. Not since my own mother. Something in my chest twisted. I looked at the two of them, the woman's calloused hands, the child's bright eyes, and felt the weight of every empty thing I'd built. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office, surrounded by glass and marble and silence, thinking about that car, that little girl, that $20 bill she'd try to give me. Kindness is money you never lose. The phrase wouldn't leave me. It followed me through every room, every echo of my own success. I thought about the meetings, the mergers, the nights I'd traded family for fortune, and how in the end, a child who had nothing had shown me what wealth actually looked like. By morning, I knew exactly what I had to do. I called my lawyer, not my accountant, not my PR team, my lawyer. We set up the paperwork that same day. The Lily Grace Foundation, a trust dedicated to helping families transition out of homelessness and back into stable jobs. But it didn't feel complete. Not yet. So I did something that felt strange for a man like me. I went back to that same Target, same parking lot, same cold wind cutting through the morning air. The car was still there. When Lily saw me walking up, she smiled instantly. Hi, mister. Her mother turned, startled again, but this time I was smiling too. holding out a small envelope and a set of house keys. "It's a small home," I said, my voice trembling despite myself. "But it's yours. No rent, no strings, just a start." Grace, that was her name, I learned, covered her mouth with both hands. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Lily hugged my waist, whispering softly, "See, mister, you got your kindness back." And she was right. I didn't stay long that morning. Grace kept thanking me through her tears, but I told her it was Lily who'd done the real saving. Before I left, Lily ran inside the small house, her house now, and came back holding the toy robot I'd bought that day at Target. "For your nephew," she said, pressing into my hand. "You forgot it." I smiled. "Keep it," I told her. "You've already given me enough." As I walked back to my car, I glanced over my shoulder just once. Grace was standing in the doorway, one arm around her daughter, sunlight spilling over them both. For the first time in years, I felt peace, not the hollow, transactional kind that came from success, but the kind that stays quiet inside you and never leaves. A few weeks later, the Austin Herald ran a headline: "Billionaire's Foundation to End Family Homelessness in Central Texas." I didn't read the comments or the praise. I just visited the site of our first housing project, a row of small, bright homes with porches and children's laughter spilling into the air. And every time I spoke publicly about the foundation, I made sure to mention her name. Not Lily the child, but Lily the teacher, the one who reminded a man who had everything what it meant to have something real. Years have passed since that afternoon at Target. People still introduce me as the builder, the tycoon, the man who changed Austin's skyline. But that's not who I am anymore. Now, when I walk through the neighborhoods our foundation helped build, I'm just Nathan, the man who learned that a kind word from a hungry child can be worth more than $1 billion deal. And sometimes, when the sun dips low and the streets glow gold, I see a little girl with a chocolate bar in her hand, waving from a porch. She still calls out, "Hi, mister." And I still feel that same warmth in my chest, the one that tells me she was right all along. Because wealth can vanish overnight, but compassion, that's the kind of fortune you never lose.